I'm a mixed-race Briton, born to Welsh and Chinese parents in London. Growing up, there were very few mixed-race people around me, and the feeling of not being part of a majority group often led to thoughts about my identity and whether I really fitted in. As we grow up, many of us find new groups to identify with, and the associations of youth can be added to by newer and sometimes more diverse connections. Certainly as an adult living in London, I feel no need for a belonging based on appearance, language or culture, like I did in my youth. But while there might be a greater sense of positive mixed-race relations now than ever before, at least in the UK, who's to say the feelings of the mixed-race child of tomorrow will be less confusing than they were when I was growing up in the 80s? Of course there should have been progress, but just because there are greater numbers of mixed people, it doesn't mean their own feelings, nor the attitudes of those they encounter, are always harmonious. In this series, I talk to mixed-race people, mixed couples, and others who wish to discuss the wider subject of mixed heritage, ethnicity, and identity. If it serves as a reference for people in the same or similar predicament as I was, and to a degree still am, maybe we can understand mixed-race people, and perhaps each other, a bit better in the future.
Although I have always felt English, I've never described myself as English. Someone asks, I'll say, yeah, I would never say to someone, oh, I'm English. Because I felt that it's only if you're white you're English. Whether that's because because my mum's Indian and not fully English. So, because of that doubt in the description, you say, well, okay, I can't say I'm English because I'm half Indian. I lived there for 5 years, so between the age of 5 and 10. So I was quite young, and that did have an impact to an extent, and it did change my thinking, even though I was very young. But coming back to England, that was actually a big sort of turning point, or that was just a big single point in my life in terms of my mixed heritage, because all of a sudden I had in a way I did have an kind of identity crisis then, because prior to going to India, I was born in London and lived here, grew up here, but also I didn't really remember it all up until 5. I didn't remember any of the stuff. I didn't know. I wasn't, so it didn't resonate with me at all. But then going to India, and you go to India, there's such an impact of the culture and the people. It really does sort of slap you in the face quite a bit. And if you're living there for 5 years, it can have a big impact on you. So coming back from India then was a big thing, because then I had to settle back and go to school, and I definitely felt an outsider, and I wasn't sure what to think, because I'd been to India, I'd learnt Hindi, and then came back, and I think maybe that was one time when I actually felt more Indian actually, because in all honesty, I came back and I went to school and I was subjected to racism. I was holding on to those 5 years prior to India, and I thought, well, I was here for 5 years, so that makes me English, doesn't it?
How much do you think that the opinion of other kids in the school, maybe even teachers, was swayed by your skin colour? Because your name is typically English.
I think I've always felt that, take the teachers first, I've always felt that the teachers were mature and educated enough, despite the area you might be in, that they were educated enough to not be inclined to think in that way, and not make decisions on me based on my race, and because of my name as well. But the kids was very different. The kids never see the name. Kids see the skin colour. It's ridiculous. There's always one that makes me laugh. If someone's going to be racist, then at least kind of get it right a little bit. But you know, I got to go back to Africa. That's completely throws you. I mean, as how old was I? Must be, I said 10. 10-year-old. It's just completely baffling. First of all, you're confused by the outward hatred, because you can see the hatred in the eyes and the tone of the voice. You can understand that that's what's happening, but you can't understand where that hatred's coming from. So that upsets you, because you're thinking, well, where's that hatred coming from? You think about it, why is somebody just outwardly sort of picked on skin colour? And that moment's it's quite a hurtful moment. But it's always funny though at school, you know, when you have the class, like religious studies, you have that, you know, you have like the life lessons, don't you? Citizenship, or whatever they call it today. That's always the, you know, awkward moment is, you know, we need to learn about each other and different races. But it's funny though, because there's only 2 of you in a class of 15, 20, and everyone else is white. But let's learn about the different cultures. Let's learn about these Asians at the back. And that's always a funny moment, because everyone has to, oh bloody, I'll learn about these things, and you feel guilty in a way, because it's like, you don't have to, guys. It's alright. You don't have to do this. I don't worry. Couldn't give a monkeys. Oh yeah, well, you know, we're studying Sikhism today, and everyone looks at me. I'm not Sikh.
Do you find it common that people confuse religion with race and attribute a religion to you based on your race?
Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely. Because you've got Islam, Hinduism, and Sikhism, to just name 3 of them. In a way, you can kind of understand that, you know, why someone, obviously you don't like the ignorance that someone has not bothered to understand whatever religious beliefs you have. And that is frustrating, but in a way, especially at school anyway, you're always trying to find some sort of rationale in people's thinking, because that's the only way you're going to get through school. If you can't find a rationale in people's thinking, then it's going to drive you crazy. So if you can find a little bit of rationale in the racism, it's not the worst thing. You know, at least you can I can kind of understand where they're coming from there. So with religion, you know, when someone said, oh, you know, you could do one of the exams about Islam, even though I was you know, I'm not Muslim, but you can I could understand, you know, people see the brown skin. That's part of the problem, because you have to find some sort of comfort amongst the racism. You know, you have to keep going. You have to laugh it off. Of course you do.
Was it from the Asian population just as much because they didn't see you as one of them?
It's an interesting question. I think it was mostly the white kids in the school. Although I did feel that I was shunned in a way from the Asians though, because I just wasn't. I wasn't part of they didn't see me as being part of their culture. Especially we're talking about that time period. There was that sort of tug sort of in between, you know, I was getting there. And actually, that's a very interesting question actually, and not only did that extend in that period, but I think it's been pretty much it's been all my life. Yeah, so back then growing up, and I think that extended definitely to school and college as well, now thinking about it, that sort of tug, you know, you got the racism, the casual jokes from the white kids who you thought were your friends, and in a way you then start to gravitate towards the Asians, but then you don't fit in with them though, because their culture is so different, and you can't just find yourself, you keep latching on to the back of these groups. In fact, I think that was the single most difficult part of growing up mixed race. It's the identity thing.
You've never had a chip on your shoulder then, because of what's happened and your experiences, and you've never felt angry at the world?
No, I've never had a chip on my shoulder, and I've never felt angry. I've always I always believe that, especially at school anyway. I mean, I've always liked to think I've been quite a mature thinker even at a young age. So, I mean, yeah, there's been the instances of momentary anger when you've had racism, but I've never held on to that. I've always held on to the idea, the belief that I could then go on in my life and do what I want to and be successful, mix with people from all around the world, and have a positive, me being me, having a positive impact on those beliefs. We have a tendency to use nationalities to describe our race. It's not really the race. I mean, someone asks me, I say, oh well, my mum's Indian. That's a nationality. To be Indian is a nationality. God knows how many races there are in India. I think you'd find it very difficult to, probably hundreds of different races, and you have all these sort of different tribal groups. So I don't know what that race is. So it's the thing of sort of grouping people together. I think we put people in very big groups, which makes it easier for us, doesn't it? But funny how if you put like white and Chinese, I mean, you've got colour there and a nationality, haven't you?
Yeah.
People.
That's right.
It's kind of like, well, thanks for telling us you're Chinese, because we need to know that. That's the most important thing, so we know you're different. You're definitely different, that's more important. But about the white thing, it doesn't matter, it could be anyone. Could be French.
Yeah.
But we need to know that you're definitely not white and so we know that's important. But why? As long as you're any white, it's fine. It doesn't matter. I think that it reinforces that you're talking about the identity, British or English. It's these forms. Is one of the reasons. Is why can't I? You have to. Why can't I be English and English Indian?
Do you not feel less in touch with your Indian roots through the fact that you can't speak Hindi?
Yeah, absolutely. But I've kind of accepted that in a way. I mean, the thing is now, now that I've got to a point in my life and my thinking is that, we've got this fascination, in our society of belonging to a group. And I suppose that's inevitable. That just comes from our ancestors and sort of pre-modern humans wanting to belong to a tribe or a group, and you look after each other. And then we developed the idea of a state, a country, a group of people to be part of, and we have to attach ourselves to a certain group. But then you think, well, what is this? Why do I have to be part of the United Kingdom? Why do I have to be British? What's the flag for? Or why do I need to attach part of myself to India? You start thinking, well, why is it not that I'm just a citizen of the world? I'm a person of the world.
Well, the final thing I want to talk about is actually whether you feel that you should preserve some sort of mixed heritage through your relationships, or if you had children in the future, would you want them to be mixed? You would have to have children with an Indian woman, or would you go for something completely different because you want your offspring to have a diverse ethnic background?
No, I can't. No, not at all. No, no way. Whoever I end up marrying and having kids with, if that's what I end up doing, I would not try, and that's not important to me. The mixed heritage, mixed race thing. I'd want my kids to be free thinkers, and not be tied down by any particular group of people. I've never liked that. I wouldn't try and match up with any particular sort of partner to have kids with, or for me, I think it's more important for people to be free thinkers, and you know, we've got this whole planet, and we're all human beings. You know, we're all sort of the same species. So, you know, we shouldn't be creating these divides between us, and these divides come from, you know, pigeonholing ourselves, going, you know, I'm Indian, or I'm English, or no, that's not important to me, and I've got no have any intention. I mean, the only way probably my kids will find out about the sort of mixed culture and heritage is obviously telling them about it. You know, I'll always tell them about my experiences and the different ways of looking at things, and it's up to them to come to their own conclusions. Labeling people, I don't think it's important at all. And the quicker we can remove these labels, you know, the faster we'll start moving forward as a species, I think.